It's time to talk golf once again on Prime Sports Network, and back from his vacation after spiking the ball with his two playoff picks. Nothing to lose out of the second major of the season at the PGA Championship. Justin Thomas getting the win. One of your picks, Jared. How's everything going? How was your vacation?
Oh, it was great. I was on vacation. We went to Denver. I was, on vacation when Justin Thomas hit that bat for me. So it doesn't really get much better than that. Although I will say, I would have won more had Zalatoris won.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not going to complain. It was fun when you have both guys in the playoff.
Oh, it's awesome. Doesn't happen very often, if ever.
Right.
So
Exactly.
You take that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of, I mean, look, matter of fact, the last couple of weeks, it's really been tough watching. And we talked about this. I mean, and I agree. I don't mind that these courses are tougher. I think the only issue is when it happens back to back weeks. It's like, oh my goodness, can we please get some scoring a little bit? So yeah, last week was even that much tougher. Everybody just fell apart. I mean, I had Davis Riley. He goes up to 11 on the par, pretty much the beginning of the back nine, and I'm figuring, all right, Davis Riley, he's hot. He's got all these top fives. He's in perfect position. And then in like 3 holes, he's like 6 under, 7 under. It's like, come on, man. I mean, what are you doing?
He missed like a 3-footer, right, on that par 3. And then he hit his next tee ball out of bounds. His back nine wasn't as bad as Harold Varner's, though.
Oh,
I think Varner was about plus 10 on the back nine on Sunday.
Yeah, talk about missing 3 putters, and then he hit the ball in the water. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Because the thing is with Harold Varner is that even though he has a couple of wins, he hasn't won on the PGA Tour yet.
Yeah. I think it's been 7 years on the PGA Tour without a win.
Yeah.
So.
And that's why it's interesting too, because we even talked about Tommy Fleetwood's, and you can mention Alexander Noren's and all those guys who got tons of wins over in European. You would think that after all these years they'd have 1 win on the PGA Tour, and guys like that have not. And that's why even if you look at guys like Charles Schwartzel and Louis Oosthuizen, those guys don't have a ton of wins on the PGA Tour either. It just shows you how tough it is.
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to the European Tour, but that's kind of like the AAA, I think, to the PGA Tour's MLB.
Yeah, and this week we have another good one. We got the Memorial, so Jack's tournament, which means that you're going to have some really good players out there. So that's always nice. And in a couple of weeks, it's the U.S. It is the U.S. Open. So I hope we get. And the Memorial is not going to be a birdie fest. So. Right. I don't know. This stretch of golf. What's coming up next week?
The Canadian Open. Okay. Canadian Open. Yeah, only a few hours.
That the golf course is a little easier. 15 under. Can 15 under do it at the Canadian Open? I hope.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever played the course they're playing next week, but the Canadian Open tends to be a birdie fest. So I would assume you're going to get someone in the 20s next week, but we'll see.
That'll be a breath of fresh air. But first of all, the Memorial Tournament, and we have a lot of good players here, from we got Rahm, Cantlay, McIlroy, Schauffele, Morikawa, Hobland, and Spieth. Those are the top draws as far as the top ranking players. And Schauffele is now 11th in the world, right? I think he's. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that makes sense. He hasn't been great lately outside of that win in the team event.
Yeah, so but Rahm, let's not forget what happened last year. He wins the event in 2020, and then he's got the huge lead, and then he walks off, and they have to tell him, "Sorry, dude, somebody coughed in your face, and you've got to sit out. You've got that COVID crap." And so there goes. Jon Rahm was 18 under par at the time. He won at 9 under par the previous year. That shows you how much he was killing everybody going into the final round. So he would have won back-to-back.
Yeah, and then, of course, his first tournament after coming back from COVID last year is when he won the U.S. Open at Torrey Pines. So, he was just playing lights-out golf at that point of last season.
Yeah, and he's not playing like that this year. We said that last week, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the PGA, and he didn't play well there. Just make the cut, but that's it. Didn't even have a top 40. So I know there's probably a lot of people that are thinking, well, he's going to get it back for what happened last year. And maybe he will. Maybe this is a golf course that just suits his eye and he's going to have a really good day. But neither one of us picked him.
No, I mean, what is he? 8-1, 10-1. I mean,
He's the
that's yeah,
favorite. Yep.
that's just not for me. Pretty much any time when it comes to golf, I just think it's too random from week to week to bet on someone that's quote unquote only 8-1. And again, like we said, he's priced as if he's playing as well as he was when he came here last year. He's just not right now.
Yes, that is true. And so we'll find out whether or not he does get his game going again, because like you said, he has to defend his U.S. Open title in just a few weeks. All right. And then you have the other two that are the top contenders and favorites, I should say, Cantlay and McIlroy. Now, neither one of us took Cantlay. He's won 2 out of the last 3. He's got 3 top 5s out of 5 at Memorial. He is the defending champ, even though we know he really shouldn't have been. But still, he's the defending champ. He's coming off a miscut at the PGA. So we both passed on him, but Rory became my top pick. And I just think because Rory hasn't won yet this year, I think he's like, this is the perfect time for him to win before the U.S. Open to kind of get his confidence going again. Whether he can do that or not. Look, Justin Thomas didn't do it, yet he was still able to win the major. Crazy way he won it, but still he got it done. McIlroy 8th at the PGA, runner-up at the Masters, 5th in between. So those are his last 3 events, and he's been pretty decent on this golf course that he's never won.
Yeah, looking at his results here, 4th, 8th, miscut, 32nd, and 18th, and he's gained on approach here in 4 straight tournaments. And he had lost on approach at Memorial in his first 4 trips to this course. So it seems like it's a place he's kind of figured out after playing it 8 times now. So Rory is close to a win. I think it's coming soon here. So I have no issue with a bet on Rory this week.
Who would you have taken, McIlroy, Cantlay, or Rahm, if you had the choice between the 3 of them?
Yeah, it'd be between Rahm and Rory for me, and I would just take the extra points with Rory. Man, Cantlay, I can't figure out. Like he obviously loves it here, but you look at his recent results. He played well at RBC at the Heritage. Came in second, lost in the playoff to Spieth, won the team event with Xander. But outside of that, it's been 33rd at Genesis, miscut at the Players, 39th at the Masters, miscut at the PGA Championship. So he's been all over the place. So I'm, and his odds reflect the fact that he's been so good here. So he's just not for me this week.
Yeah, that you're right. I mean, he had that second, but remember we talked about it at the time. And really, if you look at the Phoenix Open and the RBC second place finishes, if he played better late, he wins both events.
Mm-hmm.
He had both events, and he just couldn't close the door the way he had last year. So, not saying he didn't, look, he deserved the second place and all that. He's a really top ranked player, but there is just something a little bit off with his game compared to last year, which was so good. And look, it was his breakout year of being like a star player. He had been in the top 10 before, but he really elevated his game to star level kind of last year with some of those big wins, especially the win. What was it? The win against DeChambeau, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was a tour championship, right?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I think, and let's also keep in mind that he had the win here last year. So,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, again, I mean, if he was priced with the Xanders and the Spieths and the Cam Smiths around 21, I'd be interested. But just his course history is kind of deflating his odds right now.
And it's very tough to win 3 out of 4. I mean, that's like Tiger territory to win 3 out of 4 in a single event. So, okay, now comes the next group, and this is when we start going over our picks. First of all, we have Schauffele at 16, Morikawa at 18. Schauffele has actually played better each time he's played here, but he's yet to hit a top 10, even though he has 3 top 15s. He's played well the last couple of events. Morikawa was second here last year to Cantlay and has not played well, but as I said before, it doesn't matter how badly or off his game Morikawa is. He can turn it around like that. I think he's really juiced, just like McIlroy. I think Morikawa would really like to get a win going before the U.S. Open and some of these others. And considering he was second last week, I took him last year. He was second. I picked him last week. I thought that would have been a good place for him to get going, and he didn't. But I'm going to stick with him at least one more week.
Yeah, I like that. I wanted to bet, one semi-elite player. And I was between Morikawa, Spieth, and Xander. I ended up going with Spieth. We'll talk about him next. But yeah, I like Morikawa here. His irons have been really good too the past 3 weeks. The putting has just been an issue, and that's kind of what you get with Morikawa. But he has those spike putting weeks, and that's when he wins. And those are tough to predict, but it definitely could come this week. Remember too, he won at this course when it was the Workday Charity Challenge or whatever it's called.
That was the week.
It was 2020 when they played here twice in a row.
Good point.
And they kind of made the course easier for the Workday before the Memorial, and he won that Workday. So he's had plenty of success at Muirfield Village.
All right, and then we have Hobland and Lowry at 20-1. And Lowry ended up being my third pick. And I'm just going to keep taking Lowry almost every event he plays because he's so close. There's just no way I can jump off of him the week he'll end up winning. So, again, he's got 10 straight top 25s. 3 of those are top 5s, including a runner-up. He's coming off a 23rd at the PGA Championship. He was 6th here last year, which was his best finish on the golf course. Hovland, meanwhile, played here twice. The results not all that great. Does not have a top 10 in his last 5.
Yeah, I don't want anything to do with Hobland this week. Short game is important at this course around the green. The greens are small, thick rough around the greens, a ton of bunkers. So you need a good short game to win here. Victor Hovland does not have a good short game. Among the elite players, he is easily the worst when it comes to around the green. So I don't like him here. Lowry, I like the numbers, love him. Like the model I ran on Fantasy National for this week has him 3rd in this field. I just can't mentally bet Shane Lowry at 20-1. He just doesn't feel like a 20-1 golf. Like long term, I don't think he's as good as some of these other guys. So that's my only issue with Lowry. If he was like 28 or 30-1, I would have been all over him.
Yeah, because he's in that group of superstar players.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, now comes Spieth. By the way, Spieth and Cameron Smith both 22-1. This has to be Cameron Smith's worst golf course. He's just miserable here. He's made the cut twice in 6 tries, and his best finish is 65th. I'm not sure what he's doing back here except respecting Nicklaus, and maybe he feels at some point he'll get the job done, but he's a combined 38 over par at the Memorial. But Jordan Spieth, on the other hand, his game is better than we've seen it in years. He's made 8 of 9 cuts on this golf course, and he also has 6 top 20s in 9 appearances.
Yeah, the Cam Smith thing is weird because it actually seems like it would be a good course fit for him. Because again, short game is very important here. He is, a top 5 around the green guy to me. The fairways are pretty wide, so you can be erratic off the tee. The rough is punishing, so that maybe that's the issue. Maybe he's missing so wide off the tee that he just gets into that rough, and that's been screwing him. I'm not sure, but that course history has me off Cam Smith. Although he is kind of enticing to me at 22-1. But yeah, Jordan Spieth is my top pick at 22-1, and I am not a Jordan Spieth guy. I very rarely bet Jordan Spieth, but I like his course fit here. He's a similar player to Cam Smith. Good around the green, irons can get hot, can be erratic off the tee, but you can kind of get away with that here more than you can at other courses. And he has found success here. Top 18 in 4 of his last 5 appearances at the Memorial, and he's just been playing awesome lately. 1st, 2nd, 34th, and 7th in his last 4 events. Over the last 3 months in this field, he is 11th in strokes gained off the tee. He's 1st in strokes gained approach, and he's 5th in strokes gained around the green. So if he just finds that hot putter, I think Spieth can win here.
Okay, next up at 25-1 is my second choice, Matthew Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick has played here 3 times. He's got a 3rd place finish in between the other 2. He's coming off back-to-back top 5s. And we always were wondering when he was going to, besides the really good week he had at Bay Hill a couple of years ago, he hadn't really shown much on U.S. soil.
Yep.
So this is this is the best run, and it's taken him a while. We thought about 5-6 years ago, could he be the next Rory McIlroy? But it just didn't turn out. But now, he won some big events over in Europe the last couple of years. He's starting to finally play really good here in the States. So I'm figuring, this is probably a good week for Matthew Fitzpatrick to try and get his first PGA Tour win.
Yeah, I mean, he's done everything but win over the past few months here. His Sunday at the PGA was a little worrisome. I mean, he was just bad from the start, kind of knocked himself out of it early. I do like him here though. To me, it's kind of the same deal as with Lowry. I just don't love the number on Fitzpatrick, but I definitely think he's a good fit here, and he's obviously playing well.
All right, now we have Matsuyama at 28-1, 2014 champ. By the way, I actually picked him that year. We always remember the players that we pick in the tournaments that we win.
Oh yeah,
So I remember that. And that was really the first big win for Matsuyama. Hey, look how good I can be. It took him a while to become as good as he is now, but still, it was his kind of coming out party. And then you have Zalatoris, who missed a cut in 2018 here. It's the only time he's played here. He's coming off a missed cut. Not a surprise after what happened at the PGA Championship. And you have just said, I'm going right back. I don't care.
yeah.
And I know how you feel because of one of the players I have in my list as well. So what about Zalatoris? What is it
Yeah.
about this golf course that leads you? Is it Jack? Is it like, hey man,
Well,
this is almost
yeah.
like a major. He sees Jack there and he wants to shake his hand at the end of the event.
Exactly. This is the type of tough course and strong field that I think Zalatoris is going to get his first win at. Maybe it's a major, maybe it's something like this. He played well at Genesis, which I think is a similar course and field. I'm not worried about the missed cut last week. Kind of expected it actually. Coming off the playoff loss, that's just tough. But yeah, I mean Zalatoris, a lead off the tee, strong on approach. My one concern is that he's just kind of average around the green. He's 73rd in this field in strokes gained around the green over the last 3 months. He does seem to be improving there, though. He's gained strokes around the green in 5 of his last 8 events now. So I don't know if he could just be average there and bring that elite ball striking off the tee and approach play. Again, I think this is the type of course we're going to see Zalatoris win at, and I think he's going to win soon. And I'm not going to miss it. I've been betting him too much. I got to be on him.
All right. At 40-1, we have 4 players, including 2 on our list. Let's see. Im and Horschel are the other 2 players. Homa, and that's going to be your 3rd choice. And Young will be my 5th choice. So just like Zalatoris, I cannot not go with Young.
Yep.
He did not play last week, so he had 2 extra days off than Zalatoris. But he's coming off a 3rd, a 2nd, and a 3rd. So kind of got to stay with the hot hand. And Homa, who you hit with Homa about a month ago with a win. So you're looking at Max Homa, 6th year last year, to win his 2nd PGA Tour event in a short period of time. So why'd you go back to Homa?
That's kind of been one of the themes of this season is these guys winning multiple times. Scotty Scheffler, obviously, Cam Smith has won twice. Sam Burns just won his 2nd tournament of the season last week. So, I mean, why not Homa? He continues to play excellent golf. Over the last 3 months, he's 4th best in this field, strokes gained approach. He's 13th best off the tee. And as you said, he's played well here twice, really. He came 37th in his first appearance, which is pretty encouraging. Missed the cut and then came 6th. And what I like about how he's played here, when he came 37th a few years ago, he was excellent on approach. He did it with his irons. When he came 6th here last year, he did it with his putting. So he's already shown the ability to be great on approach here and be great putting here. If he can marry those 2 together this week, I definitely think he can win again.
All right. Next up, the 45-1 pair, the Chilean pair of Joaquin Niemann and Mito Pereira, who you decided to take both Niemann as your 4th pick and Mito as your 5th. And, Mito was I didn't take Mito. Well, actually, I took Mito last week because, as I said on the show, even though he was coming off that disappointment at the PGA, I just felt that he was going to I didn't think that was going to damage him as much as it could have. I thought it was going to actually gain him some confidence. That's just because we had spoke highly about Mito all season. So it wasn't a big surprise that he had a good week. Sure, winning a major, that's crazy. But so you're kind of feeling the same thing. And you took Mito, so I didn't feel like I had to take him this week, but obviously I like him as well. So we're Mito power, the 2 of us. Maybe he'll get his win this week. He's got 6 straight top 30s on the year. Neiman, meanwhile, has played this event 4 times. He's missed a cut the last 2 years. He does not have a top 10 in his last 7 since Genesis. So I feel a little bit better about Mito. Tell me about both picks.
Yeah, so I'll start with Mito. To me, a super impressive bounce back last week to play that well after such a disappointing finish to the PGA. Mito was actually second in the field in strokes gained tee to green last week behind only Scotty Scheffler. He lost slightly putting. If he had like an above average putting week, he could have won that tournament. But he's been awesome over the last 3 months. Sixth in this field in both strokes gained off the tee and on approach. He's 42nd and around the green, so I think he's good enough there. He's also, so the other thing about Muirfield, these par threes, there's 4 of them. 3 of them are super long, between 200 and 225 yards. Those tend to play a big role in determining who wins this thing. So I looked at that this week, who excels on those longer par threes, and Mito excels on them. He is 11th in this field on those par threes of 200 to 225 plus yards. So that's another kind of micro reason that I like him this week.
All right. And what about Neiman? Because even though he finished 6th in his first go around here, he's gradually played a little bit worse each year, including, as I mentioned, those 2 missed cuts at his last 2 appearances.
Yeah, Neiman's a bit like Zalatoris for me. He's just a guy I want to invest in over the long haul. I think he's better than 45-1 in this field, so I like the number. And Neiman has really, and I noticed this a few weeks ago. I bet him somewhere. I think it was I bet him somewhere, and I was watching his short game. He has improved so much around the green, and the numbers bear that out. He's actually 13th best in this field around the green over the last 3 months. So that used to be his Achilles heel to me, and I don't think it is anymore, and that's important at this course. And I think Neiman's a bit like Zalatoris too, where I like him at these tougher courses. He of course won at Riviera earlier this season, came 6th at the Farmers at Torrey Pines. I like him on these tougher tracks. I don't think he's as good at the birdie fests.
Okay. Next up, we have the 50-1 shots. Adam Scott, Keegan Bradley, as we start getting into long shot territory. Scott ended up being my second alternate, really because I just felt, okay, I'm not really that super confident, but in this area, I feel pretty like, because the other contenders were guys that had never played here before. And Mito has never played here before, but he's playing at a completely different level, and
right,
especially almost winning the PGA Championship. And let's keep in mind, because this is an important note, that two or three of the top trends I noticed this week, that Hideki Matsuyama is the only player in the last 23 years to win in his first appearance at the Memorial. You have to go all the way back before that to Fred Couples back in 1998. So it's not one of those events you can just come out here and win right away. So I was like, Davis Riley, I like him. I'll throw a buck on him, but I'm going to pass. Same thing for Seamus Power. I like him, but I'm going to kind of pass. But Scott's different. 12 out of 13 cuts. 10 of those are top 35s. He's got a runner-up in 2019. So that steady kind of play, I figured, okay, it's good enough for a potential alternate, or an alternate for me.
Yeah, I like the Scott pick. I definitely considered him. I looked at the top players at Memorial and strokes gained per round over the last 5 years. Adam Scott is 4th on that list. It's John Rahm at 1. Ryan Palmer's at 2. That's just 4 rounds. It's just 4 rounds for Palmer, so small sample. Patrick Cantlay, 3, no surprise. But Adam Scott is 4th on that list. So he likes this course. He plays well at Muirfield.
All right. And then at 60-1, some of the players I just mentioned, Power, who is trending in the right direction. Riley, 4 straight top 15s. 5 of his last 7, and he's got 3 top 5s and a runner-up. So he is playing unbelievable right now. And I think both Power and Riley, I think, again, like I said, I'm going to definitely throw a buck on each of those guys. Leishman, Connors, and Berger are also at 60-1.
Yeah, Riley's a guy I want to start betting. I think that he might win this season. I don't love him this week, just coming off a disappointing Sunday and then a tougher golf course against a tougher field. I'm not sure his win comes this week, but I do think it's coming. Daniel Berger is the other guy you mentioned there that I consider, just because I think he's better than 60-1 long term. He's struggled lately. His irons have been bad for about a month now. So I kind of want to see that flip around before I invest in him again. But if we keep getting 60 or 50-1s on Berger, I think he's a good bet at that price in general.
Yeah, he played a little bit better last week, which was a good sign. But yeah, he's terrible on this golf course. He hasn't played very well here. 65-1. I was really thinking about taking Patrick Reed. He was in my last group,
Yep.
and you took him. So I said, okay, fine. Patrick Reed, 65-1. That's the thing that caught my eye. And look, we get because he isn't done much at all. But his last two events, including 7th last week, maybe he was working on something in his game, and who knows, maybe he lost 10 pounds. But the fact is that it looks like maybe he's got something going. Plus, he's got 3 top 10s here.
Well, he changed drivers prior to last week. He ditched the PXGs. I'm not sure I'm assuming he went back to whatever he was using before the PXGs. PXG, by the way, I think a lot of players have gone to that club, struggled and gone away.
Okay.
So, I guess
PXG
they won't be sponsoring this show anytime soon. And he changed drivers last week, and he gained slightly off the tee last week, and he was 14th in approach after being 10th in approach at the PGA. So the irons have been really good for 2 straight weeks now. And like you said, he's played well here. It makes sense. He's a good course fit. Again, short game is important at Muirfield, and Reed is one of the best short game guys on the tour.
65-1 too. It's a big number.
Yeah. And by the way, before we get off of Reed, you can get him on DraftKings at 80-1 for the U.S. Open right now, which I actually bet. I bet that today.
Okay, that's a smart move. Maybe this is the last we'll see him until the U.S. Open.
That wouldn't be bad. Yep.
And then also Matt Kuchar. By the way, Reed was your top alternate. Kuchar's my top alternate at 75-1. Same idea as Scott. 13 top 35s and 16 attempts on this golf course. 10 of those are top 15s. So, I mean, you're 10 top 15s at 16. He also has a runner-up and a win. He won back here in 2013. He's got a stretch of 5 top 35s in his last 6. So I think if Matt Kuchar is going to win this year, then it may come soon. I don't know. Maybe he plays next week. I don't know. But I figured at 75-1, not a bad idea for an alternate.
Yeah, this is a longer golf course, like on the scorecard, but we've seen shorter hitters win here. And you mentioned Kuchar. Jason Duffner won here in 2017. He was never a long guy. So it's definitely a course that Kuchar can win at.
Yeah, it's interesting, too, because if you look at it, years ago, there was a run of like long shots or not a lot of favorites that were winning. But now, recently, whether it's Cantlay and Rahm, and you mentioned Duffner and DeChambeau,
yep.
A lot of guys who have that major kind of background. So it's almost like for a period of time, this was like a forgotten event. And now it's like becoming important again. That's just the way it seems to me. So, all right. 80-1, you got Tringali, Kim, Day, Palmer, you mentioned, Woodland, Noren, Answer, Wise, and Kirk. Again, those are all at 80-1. Kim has 3 top 30s in his last 4 here, but he hasn't had a top 10 since October. Jason Day, we can't trust him. You mentioned Palmer, who was runner-up here in 2020. Noren, 13th last year. Kirk and Wise were the 2 that I really looked at, and you decided to go with Wise as your second alternate. 9th here last year. Kirk, meanwhile, won this event. Was 4th in this event in 2014. And I know that was his only top 10, but he's playing well again, including 5th at the PGA. I was really close to taking Chris Kirk as one of my alternates. So I'm definitely going to throw a buck on him. But I also like Wise, who happened to be your second alternate.
Yeah, Kirk's a guy I'd consider like a top 10 bet on because he is playing very well. I don't trust him to finish the deal. We saw that last week. He was in the mix at the Charles Schwab and then just didn't really do anything on Sunday. But yeah, Aaron Wise is another one of my guys, someone I bet quite a bit. Excellent ball striker. You look over the last 3 months, 19th in this field off the tee, 5th in approach. He's also 35th in around the green. So he's good all around. Putting is, I guess he's not good all around because he's not a good putter. That's kind of where Wise kills himself sometimes. I was looking through his numbers yesterday. He's a streaky putter. He'll go like 5 tournaments in a row where he's horrible. Then he'll be good for like 2 or 3 tournaments in a row. Then he'll suck again for a few. But he gained nearly 5 strokes putting last time out at the PGA. So I'm just kind of hoping he's on one of his hot runs with the putter, and if everything else kind of if he plays to his baseline everywhere else, that's kind of all Wise needs to be in contention. You mentioned he finished ninth here last year. He gained in all four categories last year: off the tee, approach, around the green, and putting. So it seems like in his third appearance here, he kind of figured out the golf course.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you with Wise in a way. I keep like every once in a while, I just keep thinking, maybe he's got an opportunity to be a top 50 player, which means he needs to have another win, really, at this point. So I think he could do that, but he's just not consistent enough. So
nope, that's why he's 80. That's why he's 80 to 1, right?
All right. Then the deep long shots, and a couple of the guys in these deep long shots that I was considering, and we've gone over all our picks at this point. And that was, I was thinking about Mitchell at 131 because he's played better here each year. He's also trending in the right direction at 130 to 1. And again, I don't think any of these guys are, because I do think it's going to be won by a good player, like a really top.
Me too.
So I couldn't really go with these kind of guys, but it's worth a buck. Lahiri, runner up here, his second, actually back in 2017. He's had a nice renaissance season. So I was thinking about him at 150 to 1. Cam Davis. Now, Cam Davis has 2 top 10s and 1 top 5 in his last 4. He hasn't made the cut here in 2 events. That was maybe the sticking for me. And also he's 180 to 1, but hey, worth a buck. So out of the really deep long shots, and I was also maybe thinking about Lucas Herbert. He's starting to feel a little bit more comfortable as well in some of these bigger events. He was 18th here in his first appearance. So those are some of the like deep long shots, but I'll throw a buck on Mitchell, Lahiri, and Davis.
Yeah, I'm with you where I didn't want to go too deep down the board here because I do think, one of the higher end players is going to win. The one super long shot, I guess, that's kind of popping for me and the numbers I'm looking at is Brendan Steele. And he's played well here in the past. Let me pull up what he's done here. So his last few times at Memorial, 37th, 13th, 41st, 57th, 20th. So he's made 5 straight cuts, nothing super impressive, but he's just playing really well lately. Over the last 3 months, he's 3rd in this field off the tee, and he's 15th on approach. He's another guy where the putter is always the issue, but he has gained putting in 4 of his last 5 appearances at this tournament. So something about the greens that Steele likes, and if he can just putt decent, he could get in the mix. I think he's 150 to 1 on DraftKings.
Yeah, if you look at it over his last 5 events, all made cuts. 4 of them at tough golf courses. He was 26th at Bay Hill, 13th at the Players, and 9th at the PGA Championship. So
there you
go.
That
was a good call there. All right, so there you go. Those are the picks for this week's event at the Memorial. There is a major on the LPGA Tour, and just taking a look at the odds. Let's see. Jin Young Ko is the heavy favorite at 7 to 1 because the next player is Lydia Ko and Minjee Lee at 12 to 1. And then next, as far as the top American name, Lexi Thompson's 14 to 1. So, I don't know what your feeling is on the LPGA, but we were talking about it off the air. I think these are the type of events that I will pay a lot more attention to on this tour, especially if it's got something going on the weekend, and where are they playing? What's this location that they're playing at? Is it up in the Northeast this week? Where are they? They're at Pine Needles.
To be honest. I have a full-time job and a 2-year-old,
exactly.
And I try to do this on the side. I don't have time to do LPGA, but if you want to text Jan and get her picks, I'll definitely put a few bucks on whoever she likes just for the entertainment factor.
Yeah, we'll find out what Jan says about this off the air. Because let's see, Pine Needles is in North Carolina, so
makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so, right? Pine Needles. So it would have been nice to find out all about it, but and they have another major coming up too. I think in about 3 or 4 weeks. So they get a kind of a jump start on the PGA Tour. We have the U.S. Open in a few weeks, and then in another few weeks after that, the Open Championship. So, all right. So there you go. What's going on at Draft Sharks?
We're working on our player profiles right now, which is kind of a big project every off season around this time. They're deep dives into pretty much every fantasy relevant player. They're hitting the website now, so they'll all be up there within probably the next 2 weeks. But if you start searching players, you might find some up there because we're kind of loading them as we get them done.
Well, I mean, I've got the draft review guide coming out at our lads next Friday is the deadline. Soon as that's over, then I'm gonna start really pumping up some more NFL, college football, and fantasy programming, and I know we got to start getting into it as well.
Definitely.
So I'm looking forward to that, and maybe even college football too. I mean, I haven't like if you had to compare your love for the NFL and college football, how does it weigh?
Oh, love is pretty close, but the amount of time I have to invest in them are not close.
Because of fantasy?
I invest 100 just because I need to cover the NFL for Draft Sharks, and college I kind of watch on my own time. It is good. I do try to keep up with the college season because I need to know these prospects. I like to have a baseline for these prospects before we get into the draft talk every off season. So yeah, I definitely try. There's only so many hours in the day, so I don't invest as much time in college as I do the NFL.
Yeah. I was looking over the first thing I was looking over. It was the quarterbacks, and I was like, you know what? There are some really good quarterback prospects coming out in the next couple of years. I mean,
yeah, especially compared to this year's class.
Yeah,
especially compared to this year's class.
Oh,
so yeah, I think a lot of those teams were just punting at quarterback this year because they know next year's class is going to be so strong.
All right, so can't wait to talk a little football with you down the line. We'll get Jan Stevenson back on in the next week or two to talk. Maybe next week we'll recap what happened at the LPGA Championship with Jan. We got the Canadian Open returning, so like you said, it could be a birdie fest. So we'll see how that goes. Looking forward to it. And then after that, we get the U.S. Open, and I love it because it's going to be at the site of, and we're definitely going to talk about the greatest game ever played movie that week, because it goes hand in hand. And if you haven't seen it either ever or in a while, you just have to refresh yourself with it before the U.S. Open.
Okay, I was gonna say I'll have to watch that before we record because I have not seen that movie.
Wow.
But yeah, I'm pumped for the U.S. Open. It seems like a cool course. I think they've only ever played a PGA event there like once or twice before.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that'll be fun.
So all right, we'll talk more about that in the next few weeks. Jared, appreciate it as always. Great job, and we'll talk next week.
All right. Thanks, Rick. See ya.